Okay. Hi, hello everyone. Hiya, hello, hiya. I know that this microphone is a little bit distracting, but I have found that if I put it outside the frame, the audio gets worse. Um, and that is a whole and entire issue. So, holding it has actually seemed to give me a little better audio, so hold it, I will. Okay, so hi, I am Liz from Travel Start. Welcome to the page. Thanks for coming by. Great to see you guys. Hope you're having a great day. And thanks for coming by for some travel inspiration or tips or just information or something that's just have some time to hang out with me. So, um, we have talked about the group cruise with Travel Start. Um, if you guys are interested in that, it's a 10-day. It is a Southern Caribbean. It has 8 ports. It's with Norwegian Cruise Line on the Epic. If you guys are interested, reach out to me for information. Please, 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 I implore you, do not book this through another source. Book through us so that we can get as big of a group as possible and we can get some really good group and amenities. The more people that we have booked into the group, the better amenities that we get, and that's what we're going for. We want you guys to have a great trip. We want you to have a memorable trip, and we want to make sure that you get as many freebies as possible. So I start with that so I can get it out of the way. Okay. So our last video was about experiences that we maybe have been a little reluctant to embark upon, but if you trust a person that's trying to get you out of your comfort zone and um, you know, you think that they really do have your best interest at heart, that, maybe you should try that. We also talked about making decisions based on things that are happening in your life or my life, and, getting involved with things that are of interest to you. So living a full life. I guess that's the best way to put it. And I believe that it resonates with a lot of people, the understanding that you definitely can um, start in one place and end up in another, or supplement with something else, or, add an additional something into your life, something of interest. We all have really full lives. Many times we don't make room in our lives. We don't take care of ourselves the way that we should. Our self care ends up lacking. Um, you go to school, you get a job, and then you're like, man, I thought I would be happy when I had all of these things. Maybe not so much. And then you start going through this journey of discovery, this, what is important to me? What do I value? What calls to me? What seems to sing my name every time I hear it? That kind of a thing. And for me, travel has been one of those things. Um, can we talk about mistakes today? Okay, mistakes. Where do we begin? Okay. As a younger woman, I was sitting in the passenger seat of my mother's van. Okay, by this point, I'm married and I have my son. And we're sitting and chatting, and I look over. I happen to notice that there was a like pink or off white or something like that, a Mary Kay car next to us, had the emblem on it. And I looked over and said, "Oh, hey, Mom, look, it's a Mary Kay car." And my mother had been in Mary Kay when she was younger, and it's a great company, and so on and so forth. So, we started a conversation, and she gave me her business card, and it was like a little magnet thing. I stuck it on the refrigerator. And it was about 6 months before I called her and told her some story about my friend wanting to know about Mary Kay. And by the time we ended the conversation, I was a consultant, hadn't even tried the products. And it started this fire for wanting to own something that was my own. And there were things that okay, I'm happily married, so please don't take this the wrong way. But I love men. Like, And Mary Kay is a cosmetic company, of course, so it tends to be kind of geared towards women. And, there were a few men that were in Mary Kay, but, for the most part, you're surrounded by women. And over my life, I've had a very challenging time making friendships with women. Always have. Much easier to make friends with men. Don't know why it is. Always been that way. And so I was in Mary Kay, and I was struggling to like get clients and things, to get bookings. And it's a sales gig. I mean, of course, you own your own business and you set your own rules, and no one's telling you have to do X, Y, or Z, but give you that push to do a little more than you think that you would be able to. And for those select people that are able to do it, it's like, I never knew I could do this, yes. And nothing wrong with Mary Kay. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with Mary Kay, but because I had such a challenging time getting clients and customers, I always thought I was too young, or people would say, what do you know about life? You haven't had any experiences, blah, 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 the whole thing. And so I would approach people when I was in public, and I would always walk away going, oh, it was just horrible, it was just horrible. And so after probably like a year and a half or two in the company, I was like, this is not working. I came in because I love the idea of, being a new person every day. I always love playing with makeup and all that stuff. And skincare is great, and I have acne prone skin, so blah. Okay, what does that have to do with travel? I eventually just walked away from it because I was there to make money with a great product, and I wasn't making money, and it was making me feel bad. And I think ultimately that was a mistake. Not seeing it through, not working harder, not pushing through harder. Actually, I got pregnant. And when I got pregnant, I was super sick. And so I left, instead of just keeping active, even though I was sick, I left. And then I came back, and I kept trying to reclaim that like excitement. Mistake. Not coming back, not trying to reclaim, but just should have done things differently, right? So over time, I knew people that were in prepaid legal, Primerica, etc. I would come on to be supportive of that person, but I always had this issue with client acquisition. And it started back from Mary Kay days, and I believe it gave me like a complex to try to find new customers. People weren't really rude to me. It's just you couldn't get a hold of them. And I love people, and it made me feel like I hate people in a way. Like I'm so sick, I'm over people, because they'll tell you one thing and then they won't do what they say they're going to do. And this bull, crap. And so they never worked because I was almost frozen with fear. And I know we all have things we have to push through and work through, and it's our own time frames, but I never did. I just didn't get through it. A couple years, it was years later, I was like, nope, I'm done with this. No more network marketing, no more whatever you want to call it. No. Several years later, a friend of mine asked me to come to like a party at her house for coffee, and I have GI issues with it, which I told you guys, and I was like, I can't drink coffee because I will end up like in the hospital or something. Like I can't. And anyways, long story short, I ended up in that company for like a year and a half. Love the company, love what it stood for, love the product, was actually able to drink the coffee even with this, Organic Gold, amazing stuff. Like I love it. Although I've tried to drink it again since I stopped drinking it, and my system is so far gone now, I won't handle it. But that issue kept coming up with client acquisition. Like it just wasn't working. I felt like I had to become someone else completely in order to make it work. It makes no sense, because I can go out and talk to people. Like if I'm at the store, I see something, you see something, whatever it is, I can make a comment on it, no problem. But if I have to stop and like try to exchange information with you, I can't do it. I don't know why, but it's been a problem. So I stayed in that company for probably 2.5 years, something like that. And then I left. And then several years later, I was not at that point angry at network marketing. I knew it was a problem that I had. I had to be honest. I knew that I was the common denominator, and it was something that I needed to get through. Maybe it just wasn't that right time in my life at that point. So I had learned a lot and grew a lot in that particular company, but I still had this client acquisition issue. I couldn't figure it out. Like the idea that I'm going to go into a store and I'm going to be doing my normal shopping, and then all of a sudden I start up a conversation with someone and I'm going to exchange information and they're going to give me their phone number. So I started to get better at that, but then no one answers the phone. The phone numbers were not correct. It was just a mess, you know? A mess that I didn't have time for, by the way. I was at that point still not diagnosed with what was going on here, right? Not diagnosed. I know I need an extra source of income. It's a great product. It's a great company. It's not going to hurt anyone. It's only going to enhance their lives. There's so much good to it. Blank. Okay, great. Still had the problem. So I ended up leaving that company, and I didn't really leave it. I just stopped ordering. That was it. And somewhere in that time frame, I'd come back to Mary Kay a couple times because I wanted the 50% discount, right? But the mistake was in just stop ordering from the company instead of just hunkering down and trying to figure out, trying to get through this block that I had about talking to people out and about. Yeah, I'm talking to them, but now I'm not getting information. Like, I'm not getting correct information back from them. I'm not getting right phone numbers. I don't know, a thing. It was a thing. You know, it's just a thing. Yeah, okay, I spoke to you. We exchanged numbers. I gave you a product sample. You were going to call. I was going to call you. I called you, but it's the wrong number. I called you, but you didn't answer. I texted you, but no response. Oh, this is the wrong person. Whatever. See, I don't have time. I don't have the fortitude for that. Because again, I love people, but to me, that part, the dishonesty, I can't. I have a very low tolerance for dishonesty. You know, if you're not interested, I'd prefer you say, you know, I'm just really not interested than being dishonest. Just do that. You know, it's no skin off my back if you say, I'm just not interested. It's just not for me. But it hurts my heart when someone lies purposefully, right? Okay, so I did that. Another mistake. I just feel like I really should have pushed through it, but at the time it felt so overwhelming that I couldn't. So, you know, mistake. Anyways, a couple of years later, probably something like 3 or 4 years later, again, I'm not pissed at network marketing. I'm just, it is. Someone that I met, you know, doing a event planning business called and said, you know, I'm having an event at my house and I'd love for you to come. It's a travel party, so we're going to talk about travel and planning your vacations and stuff like that. And I was like, cool, I'm there for that. So I went and I was with that company for almost 3 years, probably over 3 years at this point. Anyways, team left, blah, 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 blah. And I decided to come to the company that I'm with now, which is, you know, it's a travel agency, blah, blah, blah. The other one was a travel agency too, don't get me wrong. This one, I just have better support. That's all. And so the mistakes that I feel like I made were in moving on before I had conquered the problem that was bothering me. Before I had overcome the issue or figured out a way to make it better. And I am imagining that if you're out there and you've listened to me ramble on for this long, you probably have something in your life or some things in your life that you know you moved on from before you had conquered it and they haunt you. And that's where I found myself. I found that those things even kind of bled over into spending time with my family and in terms of making enough money so that I could go down and see them, or they could come up and see me, or I could pay for them to come up and see me, or we could go away together. The point of all of this is it's a business. No matter what you do, it is a business. You're supposed to make money. You're supposed to have a daily method of operation. You're supposed to, you know, help people plan vacations, trips, getaways, holidays, whatever you want to call it, that will enhance their life, that will be part of their memories, and you'll be part of that process. That's the point. It's always been to do something good for someone else or to bring a product to them that is going to help them, and then you make money at the end of that, right? And it's not because you're being pushy or horrible or awful, but it's something they're going to spend money on anyways, and you managed to, and you helped them. And because you helped them, because you had the fortitude and the strength to talk to them about this thing that you have, you made money. And so I remember thinking to myself, wrongly actually, since we're talking about mistakes, that I never should have went to school for ultrasound. I went to school to become an ultrasound tech. I've been in ultrasound for 17 years. I went to one hospital that I worked at, and the hours were brutal, and I was burned out. Then I went to the next hospital and worked for them, and I was working 2 jobs back to back with very little like rest, although a little more rest than the first job, but I was horribly burnt out and dealing with a health condition that wasn't diagnosed. It was just a mess. So anyways, I went on to the next job, and I'm still fighting with this health condition. I was actually thinking it was going to get better. Like maybe it was just the hours or the facility. Like I didn't know what was wrong with me. I didn't know if it was in my head or, is the thing. I don't usually let people do this, but when it comes to doctors or whatever, if they say something, I was always taught to respect people in, position of power. And so I remember doctors talking to me about, oh, you're depressed. And I was like, no, I'm not depressed. I'm in pain. And that's a mistake. No, not telling them that I'm in pain, but listening to that and thinking, God, I wonder, is this really actually in my head? It's not in my head. Just so y'all know, it wasn't in my head. I was correct from the jump. If I would have been diagnosed earlier, I don't think it would be as bad as it got. So anyways, but the mistake was not listening to my first mind. So there you go. Okay, mistakes. That's mistakes. I feel that it's hard to make a mistake in travel, but they happen. Okay, so if you are, I said all of that about making mistakes in life because I want you to know that I'm a real person, and the only time you really fail is if you give up, right? If you don't follow through with it. Sometimes you have to say, you know what, it's not working for me, and move on from it. And I'm not a quitter, so I find that hard. But anyhow, I feel like in travel though, it is challenging to make a mistake, but it can happen. If you are an adventure seeker, you probably don't want to go to a meditation retreat. do you know what I mean? If you live a very affluent life and you enjoy all the finer things in life, you may not want to go on a land tour where they stay in like hostels all the time. Although some people are all about getting outside their comfort zones and they'll try anything. But if what you want and need and what you enjoy about vacation is butler service and sommeliers and things like that, it's going to be tough for you to go to a hostel. I'm just saying. If you are philanthropic and instead of going to Doctors Without Borders or, the Peace Corps or whatever, you're not going to deliver needed medical supplies or water or whatever to a country where they are desperately in need. If that's what you want, you probably don't want to go where they have sommeliers and butlers because you're not going to have an enjoyable time. And it could happen, right? Like, you could find yourself in a spot where you're like, dude, these are not my people. Do you know what I mean? Nothing wrong with these people. These are not my people. They don't know how to have fun. There are definitely exceptions to every situation. There are people that fit in with basically anybody. Just put them in a room with people. They love people and they will likely fit in. Most times I'm one of those people. But even I find myself sometimes feeling like I'm a little bit outside of my depth, which was not normal for me until because the health issue was so bad, I ended up just going through some stuff at one of the hospitals that I was with, and we ended up going our separate ways. And again, it stigmatized me to where I'm like, I don't think I'll ever work in a hospital again. It was painful. And it's not because I'm not a great hospital tech, it's because at that point I was undiagnosed and didn't know what the bleep was wrong with me, right? So, but that can happen to your travels too. So, I find that here's something fabulous for your brain to wrap yourself around. Why, when you can book something yourself, and now we're talking about mistakes, right? Why, when you can book an item yourself, would you use a travel professional? I mean, really think about it. Why? Why go to, there used to be like brick and mortar travel agencies where you went in and you sat down and, you told them what you wanted and then you booked your trip, right? You deposited or paid off your trip right there, whatever, right? And now we have all of these, travel portals and things that you can go to. Why? 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 And here's the reason. First of all, there are certain companies like the travel company, excellent company, lots of companies underneath the umbrella of the travel company. If you're planning on doing any guided tours, you probably have heard of one of their companies. They don't work directly with the public. They only work with travel pros. How about that? I personally don't like the idea of being locked out of being able to use something that everyone else, that other people know or have a way to get access to. I don't deal with locked out. I don't deal with it well. It's not a good thing. There are companies, not just that one, that only go through travel pros. There are also the things like they'll be able to help you figure out, do you go with this experience or that experience? Do you go with this expedition or that? Which one is more suited to your likes and wants and desires? You want that. You want someone that's knowledgeable. You want someone that can find the answers even if they are not readily available right that moment. That's another thing. You want to be able to have someone that you can call should something go wrong, or someone that you can call that gives a crap to answer questions like, oh my gosh, okay. I had a situation on a group cruise where a person that had booked the cruise was planning to make the final payments for the cruise, right? And they had their account hacked, like identity theft. Someone was using their credit card, whatever, somewhere else, and they had to shut the credit card down, and the final payment was due like a couple days later. And they were like, oh my God, I'm going to lose all my money. What should I do? Or I'm not going to be able to go on this trip. Follow. There was a whole thing. And I remember calling into a cruise line. I spoke to someone. I don't know, I think they were just having a bad day. That's all I'm just saying. But anyways, I called in and the person was like, well, there's always another trip. And I was like, no. So I remember hanging up, taking a deep breath, saying they were probably just having a bad day. And I called back and I said, listen, I know this person. I have booked them on several cruises, and this person, if they say they're going to do it, they're going to do it. The fact that someone stole their credit card sucks, but is there anything we can do to give them a little more time? And the final date for especially for a cruise, but for most companies, if they say final payment is due by this date, that date is almost set in stone. It was like someone etched it with like a what do you call it? A tink 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 tink, like some type of, I don't know, hieroglyphics on the wall or something. Those are hard rules. Typically we try to get people to pay things off like a week prior, or more, so that we don't run up against that. But anyways, I got to speak with someone and they told me, blah, 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 et cetera, et cetera. This is how you do this. This is how you handle that, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. So that's what happened. If it had have been nameless company Y and you called in and the person said, there's always another trip, would you have still taken your vacation? There's a fair chance that you would have been like, well, the company doesn't, they don't even care. When in reality, the travel pro would, have the foresight to say, okay, person X was probably just having a challenging day. That's all. And we're going to call back and we're going to speak to someone else so that we can get a resolution to this. So, also, sometimes the travel agent knows answers to questions that you don't know to ask about things that are important to you on your trip. So, can you book a trip without a travel pro? Yep. Can you have a nice trip without a travel pro? Yeah, you can. Um, can you make mistakes? Yeah. Can you leave things out or find out when you get to the airport that now you have an extra, $150 in baggage one way because you didn't realize that when you booked your thing, they didn't actually assign a seat to you on the airplane. Oh, and for the first check bag, it's $50 at the airport. Yep, that could happen. Can you? I had a person that had me doing a price check. I actually ultimately didn't end up booking the whole reservation because um, it was just a long thing. But anyhow, she wanted to book at a particular hotel. It was overseas, Philippines or something like that, and she wanted to book at this place. And I remember looking through literature for the company, and it said that they were having currently, like right now, between date and date, blank and blank, and pretty close to her travel dates, they were having construction on the hotel, and that they may not have room service, and they may not be able to get access to certain parts of the hotel, etc., and that there may be noise. And I was like, I had to call her and let her know, or message her and let her know, are you aware that there's stuff going on at this hotel construction? And many times they give you an end date for construction, but lots of times those dates are not accurate. They can be much longer than what they estimate to begin with. If it rains or if a product is hung up at like the port or something like that, trying to get into the country, like lots of things can happen that can delay construction being done. And I could have let her book the hotel, but wow, that wouldn't have been right. And is that a mistake that people make, or problems that people make or have when booking vacations? Yeah. Yeah. So, even though I didn't end up actually booking the trip for this person, I slept soundly knowing that I did the best that I could do, and I made sure that she knew that that particular place had things going on. That would have sucked, right? To go from the U.S. to like Australia or Philippines or something, and then get there, and the whole time for your relaxing vacation, tink tink tink, like you'd be miserable. And you'd be pissed too, wouldn't you? Oh my gosh. Yep. Anyhow, that's it. That's as much as I want to talk. I honestly feel like mistakes they're only a mistake if you let them be. It can be a stumbling block or a stepping stone depending on how you see them. There are things that I feel like I probably could have done different or should have done different in my past, but ultimately they landed me here with the man that I'm in love with. They landed me with a company that I am enjoying so much doing in travel. They landed me here with an ultrasound company that I like and enjoy working for. Um, I could be paid a little more, a lot more actually. I was paid almost double in my hospital job, I'm just saying. But I'm just saying, you end up where you were meant to be. So, I pray that where you're meant to be is with Travel Start. And I hope that this is the beginning of a beautiful friendship and a beautiful business arrangement that works out well for, all parties included. I also hope that, after you get a chance to know me some and know where I'm coming from and know my background, you're able to see my heart and you're able to get questions and things answered, that you'll trust me with your business, and that you'll trust me enough to ask questions and get social and just, help me build a community of travel enthusiasts that do a little bit of everything, Well, almost everything. Almost everything. I said that. And then I thought, there are people out there that are trafficking other people. I don't want to be involved in that that kind of travel. It's not funny. I'm just saying, nah. Anything on the up and up, though. Do you know what I mean? That sounds good to me. So that's it for tonight. This is my third video that I have videoed or uploaded or recorded or whatever you want to say back to back. So that's it for me for tonight. But I really am trying to build a community, and I really, really am trying to make sure that you know that I'm here when you need me. Yeah. And I really want to encourage people to travel. Aren't these fish great though? Look, this whole time I'm on this video, and you guys know I have two screens. So my camera's in front of me here, but the fish are up there. So I'm talking, but I'm like, oh. Does anybody out there, do you guys scuba dive? Does anyone scuba? I mean, this is like an aquarium or whatever, but could you imagine like scuba diving and this is what you see? It's time for a vacation, you guys. It's time. Anyways, that's it for me tonight. I'm off and running. I love you guys a lot. Thank you so much for coming by. Please don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Do whatever it is that you do to make sure that when we upload a video, you get information that it's there, and you should come back and check us out. I talk fast and I talk long. I promise you I will try to get the video times down, to something more reasonable, but I'm just a chat. I chat. I chat a lot. It's just my thing. I talk a lot. So anyways, that's it, and I will see you guys on the next video. Love, warm wishes, travel, great memories, gratitude, laughter, friends, and all that great stuff. And I hope to help you build great memories. I'll see you guys soon. Bye.